Oh, it depends on the TV show. Yeah, 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 I don't have anything against it. It's just that. Las Vegas too. Las Vegas, one and done. No, thank you.
Only if they re-owned the Beatles Love show.
You know, it wasn't the right company if you went to Vegas and didn't have a good time.
I was with great company. I went to a Duran Duran concert, but my God, it's like a seventh portal to hell. It's,
It was just like, I was like, tired of it.
well, and it
Dirty
was
Vegas.
August, so it was like I had a metal like bracelet on, and as soon as I walked outside, it was burning my arm because it like heated up that fast.
It's been so long.
All right, 6 o'clock. Okay, welcome everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum here, and we'll ask for Councilmember Smith to give the invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you for what you do for each of us, for the mercy that you've shown each of us in this room. We just ask that you'd be with us tonight, guide us, guide the steps that we take, and help us to make wise decisions for our city. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Budget workshop. Take it away.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Before we get started on that, you'll find at your seats amended agenda for our Monday, May 4th meeting. Someone left a couple of things off, and we had to take care of that this afternoon.
Okay.
So you have those there.
And you have Mr. Smith doing the invocation again.
I think you're doing a good job.
I think you did an awesome job.
Yeah.
If it's my turn, then yeah, you can have it again.
Okay. Carl and I started working with our department heads and division managers early in the year, in January, soliciting capital equipment requests for consideration in the budget this year. Since that time, we have gotten individually with each department to review their requests, review their budgets that they've turned in, and that's what you see before you tonight. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Carl Stevens, and we will go through this. Please ask any questions that you have of us at that time.
All right.
Mayor and council, thank you. Kind of plan to run through this like we did last year, just go by fund and by department for each fund, kind of run through how we determine the revenue for each fund, the utility fund and the general fund, and then how we work backwards from there with our expenses to make sure we had a balanced budget. Just like last year, there's not a whole lot of difference in the form of this budget from last year. A lot of it has remained the same. So I'm just going to kind of jump into it and start off with the general fund revenue side. When I first came in, I passed out a sheet to everybody, which is basically a millage bank or tracking sheet, just so everybody can kind of understand of the one increase that we are going to propose in this year's budget is on the millage on property taxes. Now, if you go back to fiscal year 24-25, that year we had allowed up to 8 millage points. We only used 2.7 of those and carried 5.3 in a bank. Now, I can only carry those forward for 3 years. So that year is getting ready to, you know, come to expire pretty soon. The following fiscal year, 25-26, we were allowed to do 5.5 a mill increase. We actually elected not to do any of it at all. So we did freeze everybody's millage for last year. So this year, what the proposed plan is, we're gonna increase mills by 10.1 mils, the millage. So basically, when doing the math on that, on a $250,000 house, that will increase after a loss credit. That'll probably increase the property taxes by about $60 for a house. So it's not too significant. Where we'll make it up better is on more of the commercial properties. But that's taken most of the millage from the 24-25 year and carrying that and taking that into this year, and also using the majority of the millage that we could have used this year. So, you know, essentially that's getting rid of our bank so we don't lose that ability to use those mills. All right, with that, when I looked at our current property tax and our vehicle taxes, and this is on the very first page of the revenue section for the general fund, I've got what looks like a fairly significant increase in our current property tax. The increase right now is about $170,000, and that part of that is about 100,000 of that will come from the increase in the millage, but the rest of it's coming from actual collections. Last year we were kind of a little bit under budgeted on it. This is kind of right sizing the budget, and also, you know, the houses that have been built in the last year will now start coming online and hitting our tax rolls in the upcoming year. So that's what I'm accounting for in that increase. The increase in the vehicle taxes, the 57,000, that's actually balanced out to this year's actual. That's about where we're collecting this year. So I'm not really projecting increase. I'm just right sizing that line item also. Public works fees and the impact fees, I'm still keeping 50 homes as an impact fee basis like we did last year. I expect that to be more, but for right now, just to be conservative, that I'm going to keep that at 50. And the public works fees, we're going to keep those all the same. And those have been running right about $52,000 a year. Local hospitality, this is our hospitality tax. Right now, we've been averaging about $600,000 the last couple of years. I have a very slight $25,000 increase on that, and then we're keeping the local accommodations the same. And then, you know, both of those are still, even in our current year, are still running to be right on budget. Business licenses, we budgeted about 1.2 million for this fiscal year. We're gonna hit that. I did increase it a little bit with the new businesses coming in next year and all the construction that will come and business licenses that will follow with that. And you'll also see there's a corresponding increase in our permits and inspections. Permits and inspections, I jumped up pretty much double what it was last year. And that's because I expect a lot of permits to be issued here pretty soon. Other than that, most of the other line items are very similar to where we were last year. The county fire contract, we asked for a cost of living increase on that, so that raised it slightly. SRO program, that just balances out based on what the salaries we are paying out. On the second page, looking at the contributions from the utility side, I tried to lower this as much as possible. And right now I've got this, we have the ability to take up to 8% from the utility fund. Right now, this budget is worked on a 6% transfer. And then also when you see the line, the CEDC payment, that $650 $150,000 represents a sale of some of the property out at for the baseball group. The only other thing different from last year, and that very last line on the revenue sheet, is the transfer in from the lost funds. As we covered last year or this year when we moved into the Axon body cameras, we had pulled that money out of some of the lost funds that we had stored in reserves at the state pool. This will represent, that 111,000 is going to represent the next year payment on the Axon body cameras and car cameras. So we have that ability to pull from the pool instead, if we can't, make it up with normal operations. So all in, we're about $831,000 higher than last year, but I feel like, we are meeting all of our revenue goals on the general fund this year. I don't think this is any big step forward. That's, this is something that we will obtain next year. I don't see, I think you guys know in the last couple of years I've been pretty conservative in my budgets, and typically we hit our revenue goals. So, any questions on revenue for the general fund?
I've got a couple, but the first one is on the SRO program.
Yep.
We've only collected or brought in around 383,000 for the first 9 months of the year. So we're going to collect the other 300,000 in the last 3 months of the year.
But you also got to remember the SRO. What the SRO is based on is it is based on what we spend. So if we don't spend, I plan to spend a certain amount, and if we don't spend it, so what the SRO is going to cover is covering the salaries that sit down in the police budget and any capital items that they have to purchase for those officers. So if they're buying guns or if they're buying cars or anything like that. So whatever you see, the SRO is really just kind of a balancing. It's going to come, whatever comes in is what we've actually spent. And you got to remember too, at this point, I think for March, we were about 2 months behind. So what we've been reimbursed through February, or actually January, and then February and March came in April. So
Okay.
you're not, that number is getting closer to what the actual budgeted number is. But when we look at the salary model, we have 7 SRO officers, and basically that number is the same as what you see. What we're paying out in salaries and capital would be the same as what's represented on the revenue side.
Okay.
So is that a month, does that come monthly from the state?
We do try to bill it as monthly as much as possible. It used to be quarterly, but last year I changed it to monthly.
Oh, so do we bill those expenses first and then
So
get
we
reimbursed?
we pay our employees first, and then at the end of the month, Stephen Lawton will calculate all the
Expenditures?
expenditures and then submit that to the state.
Okay,
Usually they're pretty quick. It also depends on if we get this when we actually submit the invoice.
gotcha.
That's good, you said you had some more questions.
Yeah, on the business license fee thing,
Uh-huh.
that usually comes in after April 15th.
So, business licenses, the majority comes in May and June. Our big payment comes pretty much towards the end of June. Of the 1.2 million that is budgeted for this year, about 800,000 of that comes from the municipal association. And the year before, I got I think it was a $700,000 check right at the end of June. So the majority of that, right now we're tracking just over 400,000. So what I expect for this year, I expect to make the 1.2 million without a problem. But like I said, the majority comes in after this quarter, or towards the end of the fourth quarter.
So year-to-date as of March, we were at 230,000. Where did those funds come from?
Those comes from all the business licenses that we issue throughout the year. And then the actual business license season starts January 1st, it runs to April 30th. But as I found, and you know, with Charles's passing, the majority of them come in this month. A lot. I mean,
Okay.
I processed, I think in the last week, myself, I processed probably 250 licenses, just myself. And I've had Carla and Sonia.
So those are new licenses?
Well, they're newer renewals.
So how come all the renewals do not go through the municipal association?
How come they don't?
Yeah.
Just have a lot of people that just don't have, I mean, out of the 2,000 accounts that we have on the business licenses in our system, right now, as of today, only about 110 went through the portal. So the majority still sit there and come through and have to be, they're mailed in, and then we have to handle the paper and
Okay.
calculations and get it in the system. But once again, that's another number, you know, I think it's the insurance tax program that manages overall the insurance agents in the state. So any insurance that is sold in Clinton that's what's divvied up by the municipal association. That check won't come in until June. So while it looks, you know, the numbers you're looking at the end of February and March, while it still looks low, I can tell you today we've hit over 400,000. So by the end of April, we're at 400,000, and I still have the 800,000 or so that's going to come from the municipal association.
Okay.
That's a great service that we get from them
Yes.
to do that.
Mr. Cook, when you're talking about, are you looking at our, from our May packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I pulled that out and started comparing because I think that would be very helpful in the future, Carl, if we had actual numbers on this proposed budget. So, because what I'm having to do is go back to your financial report that you shared with council that's in our package for Monday night to compare actual numbers.
You got to also remember that report right there just got prepared yesterday. So, I mean, yes, I can try to get actuals in. It's just how far along can we get it to make it actually
Or for
be
us,
meaningful.
for at least for me, to validate these budget numbers, not questioning you, but to validate these numbers, I've got to have actual to compare to.
Sure.
And it's very hard just to look at 2 years' previous budgets and what we've approved. That really, it doesn't make a hill of beans other than seeing the percentage increase in regards to that. And tell me one more time now on the CEDC payment. I thought we were selling, they were selling more and we were going to get more money from the CEDC in the coming year. So why are we getting less now? What changed on that?
No, so there's two separate sales that we have coming up that we're counting for next year. One is the Witten Center, which will go through us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the CEDC, which is the Dunkin' Donuts and the
The 41 acres on
West Corporate, or East
East
Corporate.
Corporate Center Drive.
We're supposed to be closing on the Witten Center this June, so the 650 represents the Dunkin' Donuts and the West Corporate Drive sale that will happen next year.
Okay, so are we going to make the 887 then this year?
I'm planning on it, yes.
So where's that sale coming? Where are their
That's the
sales?
Witten Center. The balance is the Witten Center.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, you included that as a CEDC payment, even though it's not coming through there.
Technically, yeah.
Okay, that's what was throwing me off. I was trying to
Well,
figure out.
At the first, when we originally did this budget, that was actually the sale of the Leonard property over by the rec center. But that has not closed, and that doesn't look, like, I did not budget the ball field last year.
Okay.
But between the ball fields and the Leonard property, one of those is gonna close and make,
Okay.
finish out our budget.
Right.
Kind of right now, I not really sure where we stand on the Leonard property. Cause they have not closed on that yet.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got on revenue side, Mr. Mayor.
So, the millage increase, 10%.
It's not 10%.
It's
10 mils.
10 mil. So to meet our budget, we're having to increase on the mill.
Well,
Where are we reducing our budget? We're increasing, and then once again, we're increasing on the citizens as we did last year to sustain our budget.
Correct. Well, we have done very minimal increases to our citizens. Last year, the only increase was the sanitation increase.
That was an increase.
You're talking $8 a month for a household. That was not a big increase. And here's a reason why we have to have these increases. Our workman's comp and general liability insurance increased again this year by 20%. That's $155,000 that I have to make up somewhere to cover just that increase in cost. That doesn't account for the increase in, our PIVA insurance. I am counting on a 6% increase there. We've got higher fuel costs now. If we don't employ an increase, the city will go bankrupt at some point because we won't be able to make our bills. So just like every other business that's out there, we have to do something for it, to bring some revenue back into the city.
So the summary sheet that we are missing here as far as what increase are you asking for? Because this is kind of difficult to go in here and see what increase you are asking for as far as employees, what is the increase? Because we don't have this summary sheet.
So, and I apologize, but for the last month I have been covering on business licenses, which has taken a lot of time. The only increase we have from a salary standpoint is the cost of living increase that is set by the state. That is 2.63% per employee. That's across the board. We did add 2 bonus pools in each, the general fund and utility fund, for merit increases for people that, we may need to do that down the road. But the only increases that we're truly having, we held our head count to the same as where we are right now. No personnel increases. We're making everybody run as lean as possible. And,
Are you doing an increase on administration, right? You're asking for an increase?
that's because we moved Ethel from the utility billing over to the general fund. We have not overall increased a single person on headcount.
Okay, so that's what that increase.
Yes. You also notice that there was a couple of changes. Jesse Ricketts, who is over sanitation and the streets department. Streets sits in the general fund, sanitation sits in the utility fund. He used to sit in the streets, so the general fund took the 100% of his salary. Well, this year what I've done is I split him 50-50 between both departments. Same thing with Jeff Windsor. Jeff Windsor is over right away and now also parks, so I split his salary between both of those departments. And then Tim Douglas was moved from Public Works Administration back to inspections and planning. So overall, actually with we added Amelia as a part-time event planner for doing things like Rhythm on the Rails and stuff like that. Outside of her, we have not changed our head count.
So what is our head count altogether?
I want to say we're at 132. 130.
So 130 is the head count?
And we actually had an extra person or an extra person built into the electric department. We wanted to grow that for this fiscal year. It has not been put in place, and for next year, I took that position out. So when you look at the electrical department, it's down a full-time employee.
Okay, so when, going back to the millage, you were saying that a $200,000 house, the property tax will increase $60.
Correct.
I mean, don't you think that's significant for a citizen? Because just as well, citizens are struggling. You know, that's a significant increase. You know, it may not hurt some of the people, but majority of people, $60 increase will hurt them. I mean, just as well as it hurt them last year when we didn't think that an increase on sanitation. But where are we cutting, you know, to show the citizens that we are cutting our budget? And that's what I'm not seeing, is where the city is cutting. We're increasing, but we're not cutting the budget.
There are very few things that we can cut. Our cost for materials, supplies, and labor go up just like each one of you, like in mines. They all go up, so we have to be able to cover our costs so we can continue to provide the services that we provide to our citizens. If we didn't have that increase, we would have to cut something. And we can't cut our services to our citizens right now. We can't ever cut.
I think we, from what municipal association trainings and from what I understand of millage, we have to think of it as a fee for services, essentially, you know, a fee for the services that are provided for living in a civilized society with sewer and roads and public safety and that kind of thing. And when you don't increase for a number of years, you lose out on that opportunity to raise by a percentage, and the slope of, I am not a statistician, or nor do I, but I would imagine your losses are going to be greater over time. This is, I know in the municipal association trainings, they hit hard on, you have to increase your millage for what you're allowed. That it is part of being able to generate the revenue to provide services. I'm not saying it might not be an adjustment for some families, but it's a necessity for the city to manage costs.
And we're only allowed a certain amount of millage that we can,
Right.
so some years we do, some years we don't, but you gotta keep up with it, cause as soon as you start cutting
You start
services,
losing,
you
you
know,
lose a percentage.
it's,
Our last increase was in 2024, correct?
For millage?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay. You know, we can say that, you know, this is what have to be done, but try telling that to our citizens that are struggling, that are having a hard time getting their ends to meet now with the high utility bills that they're getting, the high gas bill. I mean, just last couple months, didn't affect some of you, but it affected a whole lot of citizens that had to pay that type of gas bill that came out, that they had to do without certain things. And now we're asking them, you know, hey, absorb this cost, because this is what we have to do. I'm speaking for those that cannot, that are struggling. And I think it's a lot of people in the city of Clinton that are struggling to make ends meet on a daily basis.
Well, let me kind of lay out what we have cut, because
That's what I'd like to hear.
what comes in, and for our meeting next week, I'll have a summary sheet that will tally everything up. But when we go out to our departments every year at the start of the budget season and ask them for their plan for personnel, for capital equipment needs and all that, when I put all that in, this is a balanced budget where, zero on both sides. When I put everything in that was requested, that's, I agree, it's 100% needed. We're negative $3 million. So $160,000 increase on property tax, still isn't even cutting it from what we really need to get to. The city is going to run out at some point. I mean, we have an IPRB bond out there for $10 million that was in place before I walked in the door. We had to put a $500,000 GO bond to finish building out the substation. Last year we put a lease on the capital vehicles that we needed, because we're at the point we needed them. That's $1 million lease that we put out. But at some point we're going to lose the ability to pay those debts and manage those debts. So if we don't increase our millage, if we don't increase on our services based, we need to have a service study to make sure that we're charging the right amounts for our services based on what we're getting charged. When our insurance goes up $155,000 in 1 year, that's a lot of money I've got to make up in a lot of places. And where it hit this year is no one got any capital. The only capital that's sitting in there basically is there's a couple small items that were extremely needed, and then our existing enterprise lease for our vehicles, mainly like our police fleet. We have some in fire, some in electric, some in public works. But all these guys are driving vehicles that have 190,000 miles on them and are falling apart. We have to, things like that, we have to be able to do. And if I don't do things like increase the millage, we are going to lose the ability to even function anymore. Or, on the flip side, retain our employees.
To your point, Carl, about the insurance, the $150,000, is that strictly workers' comp, or is that health included, or is that just workers'
No,
comp?
that's just workers' comp and general liability.
Okay, on workers' comp, what caused that increase? Because the head count has stayed the same. Has it been accidents?
It's been accidents.
It's been accidents, some foreseen, some unseen,
Okay, what is our, I can't remember the official name, but the rate,
experience mod,
experience mod?
yes.
What has that trended to over the last 2 or 3 years? Because if it tells me it's going up, then that means we aren't doing as good as we thought we were in the training and safety side of things. So I guess that's what I'm asking. If that's going up 150,000 and we're not increasing head count to cover that, or adding departments that would increase the risk of that insurance, then what is causing that to go up?
So our mod did go up, from the time I started to now, our mod did go up, about 5 to 10 percentage points.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and a lot of that's reflecting on stuff that was already on the policy when we were coming in the door, me and Carl. Give you an example, so there was a fire that happened 3 or 4 years ago. That stuff is still on there, it hasn't fallen off yet, so we're still eating that. So any accidents that happened 3 or 4 years ago, that stuff is still attached to the policy, and until it falls off.
Okay, you're talking about the Musgrove fire? Oh,
Utility.
No.
okay, gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, okay.
So stuff that's on the policy, it doesn't fall off for 3 or 4 years.
Right,
So
exactly, I
they're
understand.
compounds. So until it falls off, it affects our experience more, and also affects us when we go to renew. And to Carl's point, I've done shopping. I've talked to Spit and Smurf. I've talked to a lot of other companies, see if they're willing to take us. But until our mod goes down, you know, we're considered high risk.
That's what I was gonna ask you, we consider high risk, so we've had, quite a few number of accidents in the past year.
Yeah, and a lot of those are not employee related. Some are other contributory factors. We have to factor in that we had Helene come through, you know, stuff like that. Remember, I don't need to bring it up. Our firefighter who was hit, and we had one injured and one killed, that stuff is on there. So we gotta look at stuff like that when we looking at, explaining the insurance costs. So it's not something that we're doing bad, because we do training every month, we have safety every month. It's just stuff that happens that we don't have any control over, that we have to factor in.
Yeah, workman comp do go up, when you have number of accidents, I do know that, it's based on that. Is it a 5-year that it's on there, is it 5 years?
3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years that it stays on, that,
It's like your own insurance, any
Yeah.
accident that you guys get in.
Yeah.
Remember, whether it's your fault or somebody else, it stays on your insurance for a number of years. And sometimes when you go to renew, they look at that. You may not be at fault, but they take that into consideration.
so does that affect the health insurance as well?
No,
With,
that's
so
not
there's-
health insurance.
That's additional.
Well, I know it's additional, I'm saying the increase. Is that based on, a certain,
That's based on what we use in claims through PIVA.
right,
Correct. And our mod for our insurance is perfect. We're at a 1 right now. So that's one of the best that you can have when it comes to medical claims.
But that doesn't stop PIVA from raising our rates
Correct.
either.
So we still get increases though.
But back to the workers' comp. Yes, it's based on a 3 to 4 year thing, but for that increase to happen this year, are we saying that a lot of new things came on record this year? Because all what you were talking about happened over a year ago, and that increase should have been in last year's workers' comp premium. So are we saying in this fiscal year we've had a lot of things to keep that going up by another $150,000?
So no, it doesn't happen like that. So if an accident happens, say in 2024, it's not going to show in 2025, but it'll show in 2026. It doesn't factor in like that. It's like they hold it for a year. It's like if you do something in 2024, it doesn't factor into 2025, but it will factor into 2026. And that's what we're seeing. Accidents that happen in 2024, accidents that are still on there from 2023, and anything that happened the latter part, beginning of 2025, is being factored into what we're seeing this year.
yeah, your premium.
Yeah, but
increase,
I understand, but it's a
yeah,
rolling
right.
3 to 4 years, so we should have some things coming off.
We have some things coming off,
Yeah.
but it won't take effect for what we're paying now.
So
Okay.
you're getting hit with the stuff that Will's talking about, but also the whole insurance
Yeah,
industry is
sure,
having
yeah.
a general increase anyways.
Okay.
So we're just getting it from both sides.
Yeah, PIVA's rates have gone up, gosh, for the last
So
4 or 5
just
years.
So you saying
It's-
cost of living is 2.6
That's
for
what-
everyone?
That is what the state has determined as and that's what also is based, how the millage increase is based. Because if you look at my millage sheet under the fiscal year 26-27, there's 2 components. There's the CPI, which is 2.63%, and then population. But, you know, another thing to consider, a year ago, PIVA had a 14.5% increase on insurance. Now, they didn't increase the employee side. That hit 100% to the employer side. So nowadays, if someone comes in and has standard single coverage, that costs the city $8,000 a year to provide that coverage to that employee. If the employee comes in and picks full family, it's over $20,000 for a year. And that's how expensive it is. And on our rolls, we have about half of our insurance roll is single, and the other half is mixed, you know, full family, employee spouse, and employee child. But all those are extremely expensive. And even, you know, Danny, I think we've had discussions about, well, what if we took away the 50% dependent coverage or covered employee? It really doesn't make, it will change about $75,000 a year. And it doesn't hit us, it's the employer side that's killing us. And this year, I still have planned for a 6% increase from PEMA.
When does that come out? When do they do that?
That won't roll until actually January
Yeah,
next
that's
year.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was trying to see where you came up with the 2.6, because I'm looking at, it's a 2% increase, is what the state is recommending.
No, it's not. It's come from, I have a letter from the state that tells me 2.63.
Well, I guess this is absolutely wrong then, because they're saying here 2%.
Where are you seeing that?
When you Google and ask what's the cost of living increase for the state of South Carolina for 2027, it says 2%.
That may not be I mean, Google may not have the state mandated.
Maybe not.
Carl, is your salary public knowledge?
Mhm.
You say yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Everybody, their salary is public knowledge.
Well, I do not care to put it like out on the internet or whatever, but do you make 100 plus or no?
Yes.
Okay. I just feel like if we're paying, my point is, we're paying this kind of money. We should have confidence in you as to what you're doing. I mean, if I'm gonna pay you that kind of money, I shouldn't have to go back and check what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to pay me $100,000 and go back and see what I'm doing. So I just wanted to make sure if we're paying you this kind of money, why are we questioning what you do?
Right.
But second of all, we go up on sanitation. Okay, $20 to $24. I pay it every month. And I mean, it started off at like $6.60 years ago. Well, it went up from 20 to 24. That's $4 a month. That's $48 a year. That $48 a year ain't gonna stop anybody. I mean,
Your gas for your car is going up more
I
than that.
deliver mail. I see these things where sanitation, Emerald Sanitation, different ones, it's over $30 a month. That's not picking up limbs, that's picking up only garbage. So we're adding extra service. So I went to a cruise in June or April, whenever it was. Anyway, the 1st of April. Gas was $3.45 in Simpsonville. It was $3.99 here at the Marathon. I didn't cancel my cruise because gas went up. I either cancel my cruise and lose money or pay the additional. We've got to increase with everything else. I mean, and you said property tax. You said $60 divided by 12. That's $5 more a month.
Right.
I mean, we can't get a burger today for $5 a month. A day. I mean, you get one burger for $5. $5 in 12 months per month is not a lot of money. And most people, if you got $200,000 home in Clinton, South Carolina, you can afford $60, $5 a month. If you can't, you're already getting homestead insurance. Tax insurance was exempt with $85 per year. So it don't matter
Over
if you
65.
you can be on disability, Social Security, and you can do homestead. I know that. So it's it used to be $60. It's $85 a month homestead. No matter if you're on disability or if you're over age, correct? And you know, so and if you can't pay, most people that can pay it are working. So if you're not, you're already on disability, and no offense to that, because my mom was on disability, but that means it's covered under that 85. If you're working, you can afford $60 more a month, year, $5 a month. I mean, you're not going to stop driving because gas goes up.
It's great that we can tell our constituents that, when we go out, in those neighborhoods that are poverty neighborhoods, that you can afford it. It's okay.
I live on Clinton
you know,
Mill in a trailer on Boulevard Street.
It's not just you. It's not just you. I can afford it, but I'm not just talking about me. I'm thinking about others that cannot, and those
Well,
the
the ones that can afford it are already renting and they're not paying the property tax.
Not necessarily.
So what is your suggestion that they should
I
cut?
don't think we need to go up to 10.
So you're saying we
Yes.
need to meet in the middle somewhere?
Yes, I do. I think if for our citizen, we increased on them last year, the year before, we need to meet in the middle and say, hey, we're gonna take some hit too. It can't be always on the citizens to take a hit. And I will stand by that.
Okay, well, let's
And we
don't,
don't have to agree. We do not have to agree.
well, let's don't go
And
up
I'm
on
okay
anything.
with that we do not agree, and I stand with that, with what I'm saying is that we do need to cut. We need to cut, and I will stand with that. So we can
Okay.
agree to disagree.
We'll make
That's good.
suggestions where you think it should be cut.
I think, we know we're gonna have to go up. We gotta run the city. And in certain things, we've already cut. You heard what Carl said, where we cut things, where we're running a lean workforce. We're running lean, with the police operators, you know, Michael's having to do regular
Shifts.
road duty sometimes. So we're running as tight as you can run and still provide the services to the city, to the citizens. As soon as you start cutting them, then you're gonna really hear it, you know. We already, got things that we probably need to do more of. But it's part of living in society, and it's part of, we certainly are not looking away from people that are struggling, because everybody struggles at some point in time. But we have a fiduciary obligation to run this city in the way and we do have people that are experts in it and that are doing an outstanding job, I think, in putting together a balanced budget within the parameters that we need to keep this city going and keep it being a good place to live.
Well,
So-
not to get into a political thing, 'cause I don't know that much about it, but just say Trump or whatever the state, is that not something they're trying to do away with anyway, is the property? Or no, it's just state tax, it's not property tax? It's what? Okay, it's not the property, okay.
No.
And I think we all know everybody's positions on that, so I would suggest we keep moving.
I mean, the one issue is, the general fund is very limited on where we get revenue. From July through June, 12 months a year, I struggle making payroll, making PMPA payments. You know, this is the reality of the city. And the only way we actually make this better is by growing the city. You know, and there we had to play along the fine line of, you know, growing the city and adding the houses so we can have businesses and industry come here. And while that helps us, you know, it also takes away from the small town of what Clinton is. I mean, so there's a fine balance that has to happen there, and that we try to do that with, you know, the planning commission and all that. But, you know, in my honest opinion, in the next 3 to 5 years, if we don't grow significantly, we are going to have major financial issues.
We've got to grow significantly just to get back to where we were in the, you know, late 80s, frankly.
So, with the planned neighborhoods that we have, and with the $200,000 to $300,000 worth of development that will come with the baseball project, that represents roughly a 30 to 40% increase over this current budget in the fees that will be generated, not by our citizens, but by the businesses coming here. That's what we need. That's what we have to have. So, you know, when we vote down neighborhoods, we're hurting the city because we're not, everybody else is going to take them. I look at Fountain Inn's budget. Their property taxes are 4 times what we get. And they're roughly 30% larger than we are. So, you know, if we can put all this business and houses in, that's great. It helps solve a problem right now. But that money is 3 to 5 years away. So for the next 3 years, I have to figure out how to manage this. So when you say, you know, we haven't cut, you look at our employees that are busting their butts out there working for the citizens, and they're getting a 2% increase. They're barely keeping up with the cost. They're not even keeping up with the cost of gas that you're gonna put in your car to get to work. So, and we, you know, that's another problem. We constantly lose good people because they're gonna go over and get another dollar over here. And it is not fair. You know, it's very hard for us to keep bringing people into the city and then lose, you know, train them up, get them good, and then they go. Because they're, you know, they'll get $1 or $2 more somewhere else. And that's where we cannot keep up.
Yeah, you said you struggle to make ends meet, but yet each month, in our thing, you said we have been doing great. We've been doing great throughout the year, but now you're saying you are struggling to make ends meet. So which is it?
We struggle to make ends meet because we are pretty much break even. When you look at our financials, especially on the general fund is barely, you know, we're at a positive $125,000 at this point throughout the year. You know, how can we, if we don't have anything that brings additional revenue to the city, how can we actually even expand what we bring to our citizens? You know, they're gonna get the same old baseline, here's your baseline services. There's nothing extra that we can do. You know, let's take this, the rec center. Do you know how much that's gonna cost to run? It's gonna cost at least $500,000 a year to run. What's our revenue potential on that right now?
So you're
Not very much. So now I have a $500,000 a year problem. I mean, just the stuff that has to be done right now to make it playable, the multipurpose and the baseball fields playable, we got to spend $100,000 a year at least in turf management and aeration and all that. It's an expensive, and that's not even including the salaries of the people that we got to put out there. So when we keep adding, you know, we can't keep adding things like that because we're at our limit. So yeah, we're doing fine. We're making it. We're not losing money. We're not going backwards, but we're not going forwards. That's the problem. And that's how we are getting very close to that line that our services to our citizens is going to be capped somewhere. And that's coming very soon.
In our, every year when we have our accounting audit,
Yes.
they talk about our reserve fund.
Mm-hmm.
Have we been, and we had gone down for a few years and have been, in this budget, are we able to add to that? Where are we?
No, you can't add to it. There's no way to add to it unless we, you know, somehow sold a lot of properties and had a lot of income come in.
So my point is, it is recommended that we have, isn't it usually 180 days
Yes.
cash on hand? And where are we right now?
We're close to that on both sides.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at our funds, you know, at the end of this month, I think we were just above 13 million in reserve funds. you know, but at the beginning of the year, we were at 16 million. But, you know, one of those funds that was in there was the ARPA fund. And that was, you know, we're required to spend it or lose it. So I've been spending it. So that's brought our available cash balances down. But we still have pretty significant, you know, we have probably, I would say we're safely in the 4 to 5 month range instead of 6. So we're close, but not there. But when you don't have a mechanism to replace funds, like if
That's my point. that
if we
it's-
had to go and use something, $1 million somewhere, I don't have the mechanism to replace that. It's gone.
Mhm.
So then how do we get forward?
Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna put this up to council. Would you rather jump to the utility side revenue, or would you like to go department by department in the general fund?
I'd rather go to utilities
Yeah,
personally.
I think that should be good.
But we'll come back to the expenditure side?
Sure.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna do on the expenditure side is just kind of really only talk about the things that have changed significantly.
How far into this are we?
It's like having
It's
a-
about half.
Yeah, why
It's
couldn't we
about-
just
about
go
right
through
there.
in order?
I know it's been it multiple times.
See, I also want,
Right
I
past
also
some
want a piece of
combinations,
software that
tabs.
makes a much prettier budget book,
Okay.
but that costs another $30,000 a year.
We're gonna talk about software in a little bit. I know some of my questions coming up, big boy.
Alright. So really the only, there's, when I originally took the first pass on our utility revenue was not, it was only increasing about 1.8%. If you look towards the bottom, there's an account 44316 called transfer in rate stabilization. Now, I know that's a bad word, but hear me out on this. Joey and I had some thoughts. One of the things that is, that we were looking at that is in capital this year was a filter replacement for the water treatment plant. That filter replacement hasn't been done since,
The fence was put in 1986. That was when it was completely rebuilt. So in 2014, they did a media build to where they brought in stuff and they added it in 2014. So at this point, that should have been done every 5 years from 1986 until now. We also there is a upcoming issue that's going to, it's pushing us because of the PFAS issue that you hear everywhere.
Yeah.
That is gonna be a push, and this is one of the things that we need to do to make sure our plant is in the best conditions to be able to combat this going forward. So the filter replacement and rebuild in the basin, all that will be done at once to where everything was replaced, everything was sealed, everything was right, so we can go another 20 years with the basin and have a maintenance plan of every 5 years after that. That would be more cost effective, long term, that would keep us from having to spend the large amount that we're having to do now. But this is because of years of not getting it done. We have to have it done. We don't have a choice. We are having a lot of issues that my water treatment division manager is doing a wonderful job in what he has and what he has to work with. But we are running low on time, as in long term, to having the quality water we have and how well we can do it. And with the rising cost of everything, that is something we're trying to combat with having a by looking at the logic of what we have to make sure we meet DHEC and DES regulations, because they are ever changing and they're requiring more from us.
So,
The water's not even a question. I mean, we gotta have.
You gotta have
We've
water.
gotta have. that.
Gotta have water.
I mean,
so I just completed, well, I actually got the news this morning that the last FEMA project, which was the largest, the electrical system, was submitted up to the CRC with FEMA today. We finally got it in and submitted. And it came out right at 1.4 million, which just happens to be the same amount that we took out of the rate stabilization to get through Hurricane Helene. So our thoughts are, as we get reimbursed back from the feds, if this is a project we move forward with, that we would ask to take 500,000 of that 1.4 million coming back in and put that into the media replacement at the water filter plant, as well as the cost of a full rate study for all of our services through a group that Joey has contacts with. So that is what's built into this budget. I just didn't want anybody to think that we were just funneling $500,000 out of the rate
So what is
stabilization.
the balance in the rate stabilization now?
Right at 3 million right now.
I was thinking it should have been 4, so,
Well, it should have been 4, but we took 1.4 million out to
Helene,
cover Helene.
so and you're talking taking what they're going to and not putting back into Helene to do.
Correct.
we'll put
I mean-
900,000 back of what we should get from FEMA. Use $500,000 for a cost of service study and for the filter media at the filter plant.
So
good.
did
That's
the
a good-
insurance, so did the insurance pay out anything for this?
No.
For the storm, our insurance didn't pay anything.
So we got, our insurance paid $50,000 or $45,000 for damage that was done out at the police and fire range. It's out on, what, 308? They did not cover anything that happened to any of our other buildings around here. And then they did pay out $500,000 on the damage to the pumps at the river pump stations. Now, on top of that $500,000, I got another $481,000 from FEMA to not only repair and replace the damage that was there, but also to future-proof it so that kind of damage won't happen again. So we have roughly, FEMA also paid an additional $50,000 for the police and fire, the buildings out of the range there. They also paid all the hotel bills, all the food. They did finally cover all that, and all of our emergency services. So I mean, we did come out probably in the neighborhood of $2 million total reimbursement off of FEMA when that's all said and done. So, and you know, but we're also looking at when we are running on a break even, and we have a $400,000 cost that needs to come up. How are we going to deal with it? So, you know, in our minds, the rate stabilization was something that has a lot more opportunity for providing those funds than going straight to our regular reserves.
So you're saying you're gonna put back 500,000 and then use the rest for, you're gonna put 900,000?
If we get, you know, we're still waiting for FEMA to go through and nitpick. I mean, what took so long was we had to map every place. I mean, it get down to, I needed diameters of the telephone poles that went into the ground. I mean, crazy stuff. But, you know, once that, as long as that stays intact, we should get 1.4 million back just for the electric system, which replaces what we pulled out of the rate stabilization fund. Now, you know, there's things that, I mean, we'll still need that rate stabilization fund going down the road when we look at extinguishing the bond that we have for the big lawsuits and things like that. But you know, with the sale of the percentage of our surplus, you know, that is going to, it's going to help us control our regular costs throughout 2035. So the use that it was coming into play for originally, which was to cover the spike in 2029, doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like that's going to stay flat throughout 2035. But now, because of lawsuits, we still have about a $4 million
When you saying lawsuits, what lawsuits?
PMPA.
PMPA.
The lawsuits that everybody went through with Rock Hill and, was it Greer? Cost a lot of money. Not just us, but a lot of people.
I
And
know it
our
may
portion
not,
of that bond, of those expenses, is $4 million.
may not have anything with, cause at the meeting this past Monday, I saw where Clinton was awarded, a certain amount of money for that Prater Circle, for the sewage.
That's through CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, that we go through COG with, and also through the Rural Infrastructure Authority. We've submitted an application, we have not received word that it has been awarded yet. But
Yeah.
we submitted an application to do some work to our sewer system over in the Florida Street area.
Yeah, I was thinking that I meant to bring that paper to you. I was thinking it was stated it was approved.
Now, they just submitted that application, what, 2 weeks ago? Yes.
Didn't we already vote on our match,
We
matching
did
that,
at the
the
last
match we always have on CDBG
The
grant?
application was submitted right after
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you take that transfer out, we've only increased it 1.9% over last year for the revenue, the total revenue for the utility fund. The only major increase that we have, and it's not an increase, it's not an increase to the citizens, but we did increase the electric revenue by 3%, and that's just based on the growth that we've been having, because we're 3 to 4% ahead this year on our budget. We'll have more business, you know, you have R.E. Michaels coming online for a full year next year. You have the houses that are coming online and being occupied, and so we just expect that to, once again, increase about 3% like it did this year.
And also Nordson will have their full year of operation, at full tilt under the belt.
What's the target for the concrete plant to be? I mean, I know they're just mostly moving dirt.
I talked to Jeff Norwood last week, and they're rolling right along. I don't know what the date is. I know they want to get in there and, get it done and get moving as quickly as they can in operation. But they're moving right along.
I think their original plan was about this time, but they've already erected some of the machinery that's already there. Their building has just got to be assembled once it has a pad and can be put in. So I think they're fairly close. They could be up and running in 3 months.
That'll be good. That'll be a good plus for us.
So
A lot of water.
a lot of water, big customer. So, the only other, so other than that, there's no major changes to the side of the budget.
My question, go ahead.
Have we gotten a check from, the rec center that, the ball complex?
So, ma'am, if you remember, there was an automatic extension built in that he could exercise. He exercised that due diligence extension, and it goes through June the 4th or 6th, something like that, I believe. And so, right after that, we expect him to start, closing.
I've asked this before, y'all explain it, I guess I just don't get it. You're talking about more houses and stuff, why wouldn't the utility rate just say, just so we got 1,200 more homes? Why wouldn't the utility rate itself go down per, usage? Just say it's 5% per, 1 kilowatt or whatever, why would more, the increase, why wouldn't the number go down?
Well, with
Like-
the increase in housing and RE Michaels and those places, our expenses actually go up because we're purchasing more. We're not going up on our rates. So, the rates stay even. We do realize a little more revenue when that goes up, or when our sales go up. But we don't, we haven't put an increase in place. PMPA is not putting an increase in place this year.
By keeping our rates level or not having to raise them, it really is almost like a rate decrease, because everybody else's is going up. The IOUs, Duke, the co-ops, their rates are all going up. They're already above us now.
Back in 15 or 16, the last time we did a cost of service study, our rates were a couple pennies per kilowatt hour higher than the people around us. And nuclear power is expensive. And, 92% of what we get is from nuclear power. But we're to a point now that everyone else is coming up to us. And, Lawrence Electric Co-op, right there with us now. And some of the other utilities that surround us that, they're having to do the same thing. And, I haven't asked any yet, but I'm sure, possibly some, PNPA customer will raise their rates.
So we still selling water sewage to Lawrence, or
No, ma'am.
we're
We
not?
sell, well, I take that back. We sell them anywhere from 300 to 500,000 gallons a month. And that's it.
You talking about Lawrence County Water and Sewer Commission?
We don't sell sewer to them.
They process our sewage.
They
With the
process
water.
our treatment. But
But
the
we are the water.
Right, the water, we sell 300 to 500,000 gallons a month, unless they have a leak.
Yeah, like me.
That's why it's good to see this, what was it, the concrete plant that's gonna
Concrete plant,
be a
yes.
big water user.
Yeah.
Because we lost $1 million in revenue when Lawrence County Water and Sewer
That is correct.
built their own
Lost $1
plant.
million
So where do we see that banked in utility revenue, that we sell this 300 to 500?
It's in the water revenue, it's included in the water revenue number.
So it's not separate?
No, ma'am. It's included as each of your customers is included in that water revenue number.
So with the addition of the concrete plant in these other places, we're going to increase our water as the amount of water we're selling. But also, that does in turn, our supplies will have to increase slightly, because we wouldn't receive a large increase in revenue as in what we're profiting. Because the increase in water means we're gonna have to increase the products we have to treat and do all that stuff on our water. So there's gonna be a small increase, but we're gonna end up selling more water than we have in the last couple of years, since Lawrence County opened their plant up and they do not buy from the $1 million loss. Now, once the concrete plant open up and we get homes here, a lot of water will be bought. And any other businesses coming in, and it will make a large difference in what our plant does daily and the amount of water we sell.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Let's, jump back to the general fund. We'll pick up starting with, council section, right after the revenue. Mayor and council, really there's not a whole lot. If you look at the expenses on the salaries and benefits went up by $10,000. That was mainly due to changes in health insurance that weren't contemplated in last year's budget with new council members that came in. And just a general overall increase from PEGA. And then the increase that we're going to see from workman's comp rate. Overall, we've lowered the operating expenditure by $3,300. So, I mean, we did make some cuts there. So overall, you know, just about a $7,300 increase on mayor and council.
And what is the incidental?
That is things that don't have an account. It's kind of like, you know, it's just a miscellaneous expense. So if Joey took a developer out to lunch, you know, it would go there. That's typically not what goes in there, but that's what comes to mind. But, you know, some of the things that, you know, I had to increase the travel because the municipal association that everybody went to in July cost me way more than I expected and I planned for last year. So if you look at travel, it was moved up to $12,000 from $10,000. But we were spending every bit of that. Moving over to administration, once again, we had, you mentioned, Anita, there was the increase of 1 FTE on that, on the administration department, but that was transferring Ethel this year over from utility billing to administration. So she's gonna kind of float between administration and hopefully do some court duties with us too. Administration, so the majority of the increase, comes from moving Ethel over there. You'll notice on the second line, there's account 50100 called GF bonus pool. There's also one on the utility side. That's where I put $50,000. Since we're doing a straight cost of living increase, you know, the people that we feel that really need a merit increase, we have at least a small pool to do that with.
What type of merit increase you're talking?
Well, if someone's doing a great job, would you want to reward them?
What increase are you speaking of? What
Like
percentage?
what percentage?
I'd have no idea. I would say no more than 3-4%. But it depends on the person, but you have $50,000 to go, I mean, basically $100,000 to cover 130 employees. That it won't be much, so it's going to be for select people. It's our idea to have some way of rewarding the people that really, you know, go the extra mile. Otherwise, we continue to lose them.
That's a good plan.
So is that based on doing, because I think it was mentioned last year about doing a, you know, based on how the employee is doing as far as,
Yes, ma'am.
We will do
Doing a
employee
review.
evaluations.
pardon me?
We will do employee evaluations, and from that will determine if and when anyone gets a merit increase.
So last year, was one done last year?
No, ma'am. We're gonna start that again this year.
Okay, I was pretty sure you did one last year, and you were,
That's the year before that.
Yeah,
You
it was
did
a year
before.
before. We did not do one last year.
But once again, this isn't saying that we're gonna go out and just spend it. This is a placeholder, so if we get to a point and we feel like a merit increase is warranted for somebody, we at least have something to work with. Other than that, no other really major changes on the administration side.
Carl, the only thing I had was the large increase in membership dues of 25,000.
Right. Most of that was because of the municipal association meetings and stuff like that. That's where I stuck those.
Okay, okay.
All right, legal services, that was left the same as last year. I don't foresee any major legal needs that we have that is gonna exceed what we currently run through. Finance department, once again, no major changes there. I think
So the software, a $20,000 increase was,
hold on, I'm trying to. Software maintenance, the reason that was put there was previously, things like Munis. Every year we have to spend about $40,000 to maintain Munis. And that used to be kind of segregated over several different departments. And right now, I basically split that to go to my department and to utility billing, because we're the majority of the users of Munis. So instead of kind of putting it out to multiple departments, that's where that increase is coming from.
and then the other service shred, what is that? Shredding, documents? What is $19,000?
Other services, we put that in because there's a couple things that we have coming up. There's I have to have a GASB 75 audit on our benefit systems. And then there's I put in extra money to have a single audit. Not only a single audit, but next year my goal for our audit was to go in and, what is it? There's to do a full CAFR audit report, and that's gonna cost us extra money with the auditors.
Since you mentioned auditor, is it time for us to get a new auditor? What is the time frame for getting a new auditor?
You are not required to change auditors. Currently, right now, we're 3 years into Love Bailey, and I personally don't see a need to change because they now know us, and I'm able to shortcut a lot of things because we now have history with them. If I replace an audit firm, we run the risk of increasing our costs there because they're gonna come in and once again go over all the tests and validate all the balances that Love Bailey's already done.
But don't you think that's what an auditor ought to be able to do is, I mean, when you get, an auditor get accustomed, then they begin to start cutting corners because
No,
I've never gone through an audit in my 27 years where nothing was ever found, nothing.
yeah.
I mean, everything perfect. I mean,
What do you want me to say?
we're not
Never worked
perfect.
with Carl before.
We're not perfect. We're not perfect. No one is perfect.
That would be a cost increase for the city, is what he's saying.
I thought the municipality, even in training, mentioned getting another auditor after 3 to 4 years.
Well, I would say if council would like to have that happen, council has every opportunity to make that change.
We'll do it.
I don't see the need to do it, but if you do, I'm happy to go put it out to bid. But I guarantee you will increase our cost. So I'm happy to do whatever you want.
I think we do.
And then the only other big increase was the $20,000 that came in with property insurance. All right. If we move over to police, once again, we did keep our head count the same. Salaries are going up just, one of the things I had not done in the first couple of years, just because I was not as experienced with our systems, was to account for holidays in the police, fire, and water filtration, because they run 24 hours a day. This year I did figure out a way to work that in. In years past, it didn't hit our budget because we were usually running not at full staff. So that extra holidays usually took up what extra budget I had left over. But right now, both police and fire and water filtration are at full staff, so I did build it in. So that's why you're seeing a little bit bigger increase on the salary side, is because that was never budgeted for last year. But salaries are still based on a full. I think Mike Addison is full at this point. I think Jeremy's full, and you know, we do. I think we have not, water filtration has a couple spots, I think. But other than that, that is where you're going to see the increase in the workman's comp, and also there's a slight increase on the health insurance. Most of the other costs that we put in, we really try to keep our costs in line. One big increase that we did have was software maintenance. This year we tried to do a conversion using our old LawTrack system, but that did not work. It was not compliant with the state. So we had to jump over to a new solution, and that was about $30,000 more than what we were planning to spend this current year. So that is what's reflected there. As far as capital outlay,
is that a one-time expense, Carl?
Excuse me?
Is that a one-time
No,
expense? That's every.
That's every year.
Okay,
Are you
that's-
still under the police?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you- Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, and then, we still have the capital expense that we have on the vehicles, and the capital outlay on the equipment is next year's payment on the Axon body cameras and car cameras. So once again, I have a very slim budget for what the police really need.
So there's nothing listed for gas? For police?
53620.
I took it down $15,000 to $100,000 for the year. Everything that I have in here now, before fuel was basically allocated on a percentage basis for all the departments. Now I actually have a system that's tracking who pulls what fuel, and that is how it's expensed.
So it's up on the fuel?
Ms. Williams, the gas that you're seeing there would be, if that building had, natural gas.
Natural gas,
That's
okay.
what that line item is.
Okay, so the other one is fuel.
How did we determine how many officers that Clinton needs?
Well, we need more, I can tell you that.
But is there how do we figure out what the minimum is and what the?
Like head count, like
Per citizen?
population, or is that what you're
Is it
asking?
based on
Like what's the?
population, or how do we do that?
Michael could answer that better, but I would like to, what I would say is where our problem, and the one problem that we have with the police department is overtime. We've already spent about $125,000 of overtime. Last year, Jeremy had a lot of overtime. We were able to solve that problem by hiring one full-time person, which
Right.
gave us 5 to a shift. That way, if someone called out sick, we could still run a shift, bare bones, at 4 people. The police, we don't have that luxury because it would take 3 or 4 people, and each police officer that I add is going to initially hit us for about $125,000 to $150,000 in that first year. When you talk about the salary, the car, everything that has to go along with it. So, that's where we struggle. I would, defer to Michael for you know, where his numbers need to be. But you know, personally, I think you probably need another 4 officers to cover some of the hybrid shifts that they've been working. So if we do have someone that calls out, we don't have slim coverage.
So,
You know, right now we're working with 3 guys a shift.
so like $500,000 per year to get is that what you think,
Yeah.
chief? An extra 4?
Yeah, it would take, yeah, definitely, in our 5-year plan that we submitted, I submitted to, move from 31 officers to 37. That would just get us to what I would determine safe. There's days where we're actually running 2 people on a shift.
Wow.
So you're saying we only have 3 officers at night?
And that's it.
So in an effort to save and help on the overtime and get the officers, where we have a maximum amount of officers working the prime times,
So,
we created a split shift, so there's 3 officers assigned each shift, and then there's 1 person that's assigned as a floater. Well, someone is typically always off. I mean, that's just kind of how it is with business, and we're operating at minimums. So when somebody's out, we have to run the overtime. And then there's times where everybody's working a lot of overtime and they'll get covered. There's also times that I cover.
so is that police officer that's coming, because when you saying 3 on a shift, and just the other week when something was going on down the street, there was about 5 police cars. So where did those other 2 come from?
Depends on the time. So if it's within that power time that we have, that I'm trying to use to cover that, then that would be them, or I don't know what time it was, it could have been a shift change, and there were people that were coming, that were actually working overtime to do that. I don't know exactly what time, so I can't,
It was after 11.
but it may be during that power time that I'm trying to use the maximum availability for minimum cost to do it. Well, there's only 3 people assigned, and we're trying to work it to help that overtime problem. So that's why we've had to kind of make some adaptations to do the best job that we can and provide the best service that we can.
How many shifts is that, Michael? I mean, is that like 2 shifts per day, 2 12-hour shifts, or no
Right, there's 4 total patrol shifts, so they run.
rotation
2
days?
shifts a day. I mean, it's day and night, 12-hour shifts.
And then they won't work, if they work today, they don't work tomorrow, or, no, it's not like
Well, there's a rotation,
rotation shift, okay.
that they operate on.
So
What
did you said something about a 5-year plan. Is there a plan to get us up to the number we need to be at?
It depends on the budget.
Gotta get her dollars up.
I mean,
Frankly, I asked for more people this year, but we don't have it in the budget to be able to do it. So it's a budgetary thing. I mean, that's part of the cuts that he was referring to earlier. You know, we ask for more things every year.
It may not be a reduction, but the lack of addition is essentially a cut.
Right. When I started this job, we had 6 people on the road. Every shift.
So
Wow,
we're choosing-
really?
Yes,
we're choosing to stay bare bones year after year. Is what-
that's correct.
We're not choosing to stay at.
Well, if we,
We're forced to stay bare bones because we don't have the funds to.
that's what I mean, is
Yeah.
if we say we're not going up on
On
certain
millage,
things, we're
right.
saying it's more important to us to stay the same on the budget and keep it bare bones in the police.
But even if I took every bit of millage I could increase this year, it wouldn't touch what Michael needs.
Sure, but the point is, not doing it has an effect over time.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So
I'd like us to make that a priority.
I would like to make it a priority too, in a lot of areas, but, you know, I think I hate to put all our baseballs in one basket, but
Our baseball.
Well, you just said, if, just say we got 1,200 new homes, and don't a percentage of that go?
But the
Just-
1,200 new homes is homes, they contribute and they it is a good thing to have, but they're not gonna contribute at the rate of
That 1,200 ain't enough to give us enough money to get a new
commercial
officer.
or a industrial, company will contribute. I mean, we need growth in every single area. We need the growth in the homes to bring the companies and, you know, the baseball project presents a unique opportunity for us because it doesn't require the infrastructure that most industries would need to come in. And it's gonna bring the people from the outside who then put their money here in Clinton, and that's helped support the city. You know, but like we said, we're 3 years away from seeing any relief from that. So, you know, we have to mine our way through it, and then, you know, as we grow there, then that's when we start adding police and fire. I mean, in 2 years, we're gonna need a fire substation. We have to have that third substation, which is gonna be closer out. That's 6 more firefighters that I'm gonna put on salary. So, I mean, you know, luckily we have the purchase of the truck will hold us for a little while. But, you know, that's every, you know, there's, I can spend the money as fast as it comes in. That's the problem. So, all right. I don't think there's any other major changes on the police department.
Well, just one question, so the meals for prisoner and trustee, we still have, cause I was thinking at one time we removed that, but we still have,
We still have a trustee.
pardon me?
We still have a trustee.
Okay, so we still have a trustee, so
And
that's
you-
what that,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
meal for the prisoners,
Yes, ma'am.
and then trustee maintenance.
Yeah, we have to pay for him to sleep at county jail. We have to pay for him to come here and eat. So, I mean, and that's what we have to do to have the.
I was just asking, cause I thought at one time that we wasn't, okay.
No. On the fire, budget, there was a modest increase on the salaries. Once again, that was really adjusting for the holiday pay that we have to do. If you do notice though, I did reduce the overtime from 140,000 to 90,000. Jeremy's, you know, idea last year to hire the one extra person to get the shifts with 5 apiece worked out great, and it has. I mean, we were running 16, 17, 18,000 a month in overtime for him a year ago, and now we're running 6 to 7. So just the addition has actually saved us money there. So, you know, once again, but coming down the road, we're gonna have to fill up a whole new shift rotation to man the new substation. The only other big change on their budget is in vehicle repairs. They did bump that up to 60,000 from 40. We're spending well, actually, if you look, we were on track to spend about 50 this year. Just because, you know, once we have equipment that's getting older, it costs us more to maintain it and keep it up and running. So that's the classic, you know, when we need to have a rotation plan for fire trucks as well as police vehicles, as well as garbage trucks, and that's where we struggle. That's, you know, we just don't have that. So in return, our repair costs typically go up. So we're just, you know, based on what we've done this year, we're planning for a little bit of an increase next year.
Mr. Stephen, I wanted to go back to police because that was up on animal control is under there. We didn't factor in trying to do an increase on that, knowing what our situation, what we're running into. We're not trying to budget money for animal control.
Where's it gonna come from?
Well, I guess where you got the increase from these other places.
I mean, yes, we have to plan, and we can look at that something further, but right now, at this point, that is also something that's still in the air. So, I've kind of left that as we are operating this year. Hopefully, we come to some resolution with the county that helps us. If that's gonna be the case, I would move each fund, the general fund and the utility fund, have about 120 to 130,000 in contingency, which is basically what I had left over in revenue that I didn't spend, so I put it in a contingency account. But I mean, that's really, that's my working cushion. I don't have a good plan for animal control right now. Now, if we had to go and, I don't know how the city would even afford to be able to put our own system in. Cause I mean, now you're talking $1 million plus.
Yep, we're gonna have to do something.
You know, this is where, you know, Joey and Michael have continuing talks with the sheriff and the administrators over at Lawrence County to hopefully get some relief out of this. Because that's leaving us high and dry, and Lawrence and everybody else.
This is fire and police both. Does both chiefs did drive their vehicles home to and from, or you have a vehicle?
Yes.
Is there a mileage on both of those? As the fire and the police, like you in the 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, driving the company car? Do we not have a ratio?
Policy right now, that's just left up to the discretion of the city manager to allow, department heads to take their vehicles home.
There's not a mileage thing on it for,
With their need to respond, to emergencies, we allow them to take them home.
So how many, employees are taking vehicles home?
I can get you a count, I don't know right off the top of my head how many. I will tell you that each, the water and sewer department have, a person on call, they take a vehicle home. The electrical department has been on call, they take a vehicle home. And I will just have to find out how many more do that.
so even if you're on call, it doesn't matter, let's say, I guess, is the chiefs, both chiefs are always on call, I mean, so,
Sure. All of us are on call 12, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Now, I wanna say this about having one in my neighborhood when that officer is at home. Certainly has calmed things in our neighborhood.
No, we don't have that
Just
luxury.
the visibility of that, you know.
Well, and another thing too, that we have to make concessions sometimes, with salaries being what they are, to allow someone to take a vehicle home, because, you know, we don't get employees from Clinton anymore. We just don't have them.
Yeah, but we shouldn't pay an employee to drive to and from work. I mean, I worked in
What I'm
Spartanburg
saying
and
is,
I didn't have a
Williams,
vehicle.
What I'm saying is, Williams, though, our salaries in some instances are so low that we can offer someone to take home a vehicle that they will come to work for us, because that makes up for some of the salary that we can't give them if they went to work somewhere else.
Frankly, if people are on call, people that are, you know, that are doing this kind of stuff, it's easy, it's more effective, and it's cheaper for them to not have to go pass by the whatever they gotta deal with and come get a car and then go back to it, you know, that kind of thing.
That
I
is
mean,
correct.
they need to be able to respond.
Too many times in years past that a line crew or a water and sewer department would have to drive right by the leak or the power outage to go to their office and get a truck to come back and to start work and see exactly what they have.
And with 3 patrol cars out on each shift, that extra car somewhere adds a lot more, I think, safety and awareness.
also times where they respond from their house, when I code 3 straight out of the driveway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because if we have anything major, those officers are responding.
Or your officers, even if they're on call, like, just say they're off shift, just like the fire department, they can still respond. I mean, if they're in their car at home, they can still respond if it's close.
Yeah, it's in our policies, I mean, and with that, I mean, we are, regardless of whether we're on call or not, they are always subject to call
If-
back for emergencies.
Okay. And this, I guess the fire, Jeremy, of course, you know, we hear everything from the outside in. Do you have a employee that is on the payroll that is getting paid that is not actually working at this time? This will be their second incidence that, something has taken place and they have been, continue to get paid, but yet they are not working.
Getting paid, not working.
Yes.
No, there's nobody getting paid, not working.
Then we would be talking about personnel.
Yeah, that's
open session anyway.
That's personnel issue.
I mean, I just thought it comes into the budget though, if you're paying somebody a salary and then they're not working, is that not in our budget?
That, the budget is for for the salaries covered, but the status of each individual would be
If they're
personnel.
working
Yeah.
or not working, they
Yeah,
may
it
be
would be
out
personnel.
on workman comp, maybe?
It just would fall under personnel.
Well, as far as the budget's concerned, whoever you're talking about would be budgeted within the budget for his position. But any other questions you're asking about that is a personnel issue.
And that's not something that's under our purview.
That's correct.
Could I ask a question about the fire operation?
Sure.
How many false alarms do you get in a week?
Depends on what facility you're talking about, but it comes in spurts. It comes in
Daniel's
spurts.
place, Presbyterian.
I mean, is there one that's more aggravated than another?
Yeah, Presbyterian college.
It's kind of a loaded question.
I guess
Do
where
they get
I live,
charge, is it a charge for
where
false?
I live, I hear it a lot,
Well, I'll
but I've not seen smoke, thank you, Lord.
I'll tell you this, that the place you're talking about is Milton Presbyterian College.
Right.
And it's not always a false alarm per se. There's a lot of drug activity over there too.
So do you get charged, because I know the city of Spartanburg, after 3 false alarm, there's a charge. So do the city charge for these false alarm after a certain number of false alarms?
There is an ordinance for a false alarm, but right now it's not,
Yeah.
it's not high enough to make a difference.
But the question is, do we or do we not charge?
I don't go through and issue charges. I talk to facility maintenance myself to get it fixed. Presbyterian College or Witten Center or anybody like that would rather pay that fine than fix the problem, because it's cheap. That charge that we have right now in ordinance is
What is this charge for false alarm after so many?
$25.
Yeah, $25.
Oh, yeah, we really are low. We're really, really low.
My relationship with the maintenance heads and Donnie's relationship with the maintenance heads has come a long way in the last couple of years. And when we call, they get it done now. So it's more cost effective for us to talk to the facility maintenance directors one-on-one than go through a fining process, because then their doors are gonna shut.
Yeah, I think, and let's don't have it, going back to fire, safety. Cause you know, I called one time before on Dollar General, how they just, those aisles are so jam-packed that is a fire hazard. If something happened with stores like that, do we charge, or do we?
So what we've learned about Dollar General, Donnie has talked to a lot of Dollar General doesn't order the product. They are given the product in stock. And it's given to them without regards to where to put it. Alright, well, they also don't staff their stores to be able to handle customer service and stocking. So lots of times that product that is given to them without their knowledge of it's coming is just left in the hallway or the aisleway. But the regional managers have now caught up to this, and they're actually shutting stores down to stock the shelves. The one, what was it, the one out there on, by Torrance Road, actually shut the doors for what, 2 days, 3 days? Just to do stocking.
The one on 72 has done that as well,
Yeah, they need to.
by Subway.
So it's on the radar of these regional managers, because usually when the managers are in there, they're having to take up, just like the employees do. So it's taking the higher up to get it done.
Alright, let's move over to the streets department. This is one of the departments I mentioned before that we had a full-time manager and 3 other employees. Actually, no, that's false, excuse me. We had 5 employees over here, one of them being Jesse, and splitting him up has reduced their head count here. So that's what reflects in the salaries and wage, salaries and benefits. The
The
we
vehicle
write-
maintenance,
Huh?
the vehicle maintenance.
Vehicle maintenance went up. I mean, once again, we have aging trucks. And, you know, that's some of our issues. Even the street sweeper that we bought 2 years ago cost us lots of money. I mean, this is no lie. I've seen repair bills for a garbage truck that was $20,000 just for one repair. You know, that when our fleet gets older, this is what we're going to see.
Is that what street maintenance, that's what,
Street maintenance, that increase is just because Jesse wants to fix more streets. I mean, if you look on Facebook, people are complaining their streets are falling apart. And if it's our responsibility, it's our cost. We have done that, you know, we've gone, if you look at it, back in 24-25, we only had a $15,000 budget, and in 24 and 25, we spent $39,000. Really putting it at 50 is really where it needs to be for us to keep up with our streets. You know, as they age, they're gonna require work.
And that would include, you know, doing potholes and on city streets and sidewalks on city streets where they
I
can
just-
repair.
wish we had, with doing those potholes, I mean, it seemed like they repaired the pothole and then within another 2 months, it's the same pothole. I mean, it's.
I'm an accountant, I don't know much about potholes.
Right, well, I'm more addressing our city manager, and I mean, it's just like they are not, the work is not being, is up to par there, because if within 2 months, you got another same pothole.
They do repair potholes, and yes, some of them probably do come back. But we are so far behind on paving streets. And paving streets would solve a lot of that. But there again, we don't have the money. I requested that Carl put $500,000 in the budget this year for street repair. So we could pave streets. We don't have it. We get $100,000 a year from the, county for road repair. And we have to match 50, so that's where the other 50 comes from.
So if you look at in the capital section, there's $150,000 for paving and sidewalks. And that's, you know,
State DOT's trying to unload a lot of their roads on municipalities too. Right now, there's a bill that's been going through. I don't think it's gonna be.
And the cost
it's pretty
of
good.
asphalt companies, to do the roads now has went up. They have increased because of material costs for them. Recently, we just paved the road, and it was more than what it was 2 years ago for that same road because of the increase.
I get the increase. What I'm talking about is repairing it correctly the first time.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean,
So-
you know, if it was repaired correctly the first time, you wouldn't think in 2 months you got the same pothole in the same place. I mean, just barely, whether a plate, I don't know what, not, that's not my expertise, but I just know that the pothole is sunk again within 2 months.
It is mine, because that's some of the stuff I do. And what it is when we don't have the budget to do them properly, we only can patch what we can and the best we can with what money we have. So when we have the budget to properly cut a road to where it's the pothole and you go 2 feet this way, 2 feet this way, 2 feet this way, bring it up, bring it down to grade, and then fill in, do the pack in, then you do the proper asphalt, you do hot asphalt. That is a costly process that costs more money than just getting some cold patch and putting it on the road to get us through for a couple more months.
So it's a materials,
Material costs and
labor,
time costs.
yeah, okay.
So are we working under one on Broad Street? Cause it's just
Yes,
getting
ma'am.
deeper and deeper.
I'm currently aware of it, but I have crews that are working on different things. I've had leaks, and the streets are working on different items. That has been also some things that's going on. We are doing our best with what staff I have.
I don't know if this falls under this. I'm on Boulevard Street. When we first, years ago, the trash truck came on, Fridays, I think it was, or Monday, one or the other. Well, in the last few years, they pick up, just say Monday, they pick up the front end of the street. I live at the dead end. So they don't continue to go down the dead ends. They just pick up the first street. Well, then they started doing handicaps on Thursdays on Boulevard Street. So that was 3 times the trash truck was coming down Boulevard Street during a week from on the same route it should have been. And well, now they're bringing somebody, not on Thursday for the handicap across from me, they're bringing somebody ahead of the trash truck to go bring that handicap trash and sit it on this side of the road. So there's still 3 people coming down Boulevard Street for a week for 1 week's trash.
So that is, the handicap is one of the services we offer to people that are not able to get their trash cans to the street, that we offer as a courtesy. Part of the things we do that goes unsaid that we don't charge for, that we have staff that go out there to do that, to allow our citizens to be able to get their trash to the road and get it dumped. Not everyone has someone to bring the trash to the road.
Right.
Now, the dead ends are harder to get with the larger trash truck. Larger trash truck, you can't get it turned around, they mess up the roads, they mess up dead ends. So you try to reduce the amount of wear and tear you have on the city streets, because then at that point, we're going back and we're repairing city streets that if we wouldn't have took that large trash truck down there and made it turn around and all that, we would avoid doing that. So we have what we do, the help for the handicaps and the people that are disabled, and then we use a smaller truck on Fridays to go down the roads to reduce the.
So you use 2 separate trucks is what
Yes,
you're saying?
we have to
Okay.
use 2 separate trucks, but that is the reason for that, is so that we reduce the weight on the roads, the wear and tear on the roads, but also we are providing that service for the handicapped people that are not able to do that for themselves.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, my neighbor's one of them. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. So I just didn't need 2 people. I didn't know how many handicapped trash cans you have. Just say you got 5. You may have 500. I don't know. Just say you got 5. That guy driving that truck can't get out without 5 that day and bring it himself. That we need another person to go do it. I'm not being funny.
In a route, currently on Monday's route, there's 650 cans to be picked up by that sanitation truck, okay? That is a full 8 hours. That is him getting it, that's not him getting out, doing anything else. Now, if he stops every other house and he's getting out and picking up everything, then it takes more time. But we are doing the best we can with what we have.
It was mentioned, Mr. Meadows, about customers that have 3 containers. Are we still doing a count on that? Because, I mean, they're paying the same amount as a person with 1 container?
No, ma'am. You get 2 containers for the sanitation charge that you receive. The third one costs you an additional $8.50. Or in on a 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th.
So, but that is, you know that by the person coming to buy a container, because I doubt very soon my neighbor across the street, they got 3 containers, and one of them is not the city container, so that's 3 containers that the city is emptying, but I doubt very serious they getting paid, they getting charged for that 3rd one.
Are they picking that 3rd one up every week?
Yes, sir.
We'll check into it.
Yes, sir.
If you will, get with me after the meeting and let me know the address, we will look into it.
And do we pick up with these containers when they are overflowing, they don't have tops on them? What's the deal with that? And then,
If they are overflowing, we do not pick them up, because when that truck picks it up, it leaves a mess. So
But he's
if
doing
they
it.
are overflowing, the person or the resident needs to get a second container, or we will not pick them up until something is done with the, additional, garbage that is in the can.
well, okay, I get with you, because they're picking them up, and it doesn't have top on them.
We are at the 2-hour mark. If we need to go quite a bit longer, that is fine. I just need a break. I just need a 5-minute break. If we're gonna go a while longer.
How much longer we got?
You got a utility fund.
Okay,
We got
then can we have a
I think the utility fund will probably be a lot quicker.
okay.
I'd
Can-
go for a break.
Can we have a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Y'all wanna vote on it?
No, just smoke. Just smoke. Y'all got something, that police thing down there I can smoke.
Smoke.
Smoke!
Yeah, all right.
And I'm going in hell unlike Clinton. I'm gonna suck the bottom out of it.
Get away from me.
So you don't have the address. You're 302. I will